You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening, and welcome to the Dark Mirror Show with yet again myself, Mark Manley, and my fellow host, Carl Hutchinson.
Good evening. Welcome to the Friday night Dark Mirror Show.
There you go. He sounds overly enthusiastic, doesn't he? I think he's on something. We would have Kerry with us, but Kerry's still having a 2-week break. So it's just myself and Carl. And we're actually discussing Kerry's idea tonight. She wanted to discuss cattle mutilations.
Yeah, it's like, just quickly, I think it's like Kerry's obviously away for a 2-week break, or she does what, like, obviously on holiday a bit.
Maybe she's doing cattle mutilations. And
maybe she is. So technically tonight on the Dark Mirror Show, the patients have taken over the asylum.
So we'll be talking about that in a minute. So what have you been up to, young man?
Obviously tomorrow night, Saturday the 28th, I can't remember. On Saturday, I'm obviously doing the UK Haunted Live.
Good luck with that.
Anybody that listened on Thursday night, we did a quick show on Thursday night about the show, so last night. But no, yes, I'm just in full preparation for that. But I've also been talking to a few of my friends out in America about UFOs and things, just to get a few little tidbits about the subject, because it's quite one of those controversial subjects we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, I didn't realise there'd been as many cases as, in North America alone over the last 30 years, there's been over 10,000 cases.
Oh, yeah, this is the strange thing. It's
prolific.
It's prolific, and obviously some of them, some of the cattle mutilations doesn't have anything to do with lights in the sky, as they call it. But there is very, very strong links to it of alien, not aliens, well, technically, possibly aliens, but
aliens!
Exactly. That's the first one tonight. We're going to play a lot.
There you go.
As Mark says, aliens tonight. That doesn't count. Right? Yeah. So anybody running a sweepstake, the one I just said doesn't count. But no, the obviously cattle mutilations have been going on 30 odd years, reportedly. And not just in America, we've got South America, we've got cases in Wales, New Zealand, but some of the links between them has been at the same time as this phenomenon happening. There's been sightings of craft in the sky, lights in the sky, strange things happening. So we thought we'd have a little look down this rabbit hole and try and have our Dark Mirror Show spin on it, And you see where we go, young Mark.
Oh dear, rated 18 plus. Right. What? See, my thing about cattle mutilations and all the alien stuff. Do you think it's alien, or do you think it's a false flag?
Well, there's two sides of the coin. It's the two sides of the same coin. There's a lot of people out there that believe that there is a link between the sightings in the sky and the cow mutilations. But
I reckon there's a link to McDonald's, personally.
Well, yeah, could be. You know. But then again, looking at some of the photos, I don't think I'd really want to eat what they were actually spraying around on the floor after they mutilated these cows. But there is this people, or this strong belief behind a load of people out there, that when these sightings or crafts or whatever you want to call them in the sky, UFOs are seen, there is like loads of reports from farmers of not just cows. We're talking sheep, horses, goats, pigs, rabbit, cats, dogs, bison, deers, and even elk that have basically been mutilated, but in a way that isn't like an animal attack.
Well, it's bloodless and often with like pinpoint accuracy, and they reckon that some of them the wounds have been cauterized, haven't they? So it's laser, or somebody knows what they're doing. But the weird thing is they're taking, like, every now and again they'll take an ear or an eyeball or part of the jaw or part of the jaw flesh or the tongue or lymph nodes or the genitals or the rectum, which. Why the heck would you want to take a cow's bumhole?
I've just thought of something, Mark.
What's that?
Maybe it's the producers of I'm a Celebrity getting things for the celebrities each because they seem to eat a lot of genitals and rectums. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not anything to do with aliens. It's just TV producers looking for stock for the celebrities to eat.
Ew. Oh God, no! Ew. Oh no! Can you imagine going down to local and saying, "I like half a pound of bumholes"? Ugh.
Exactly. I'd like a couple of slices of rashers of bacon, a couple of genitals, and a few bumholes, please.
What you do in your sex life, mate, it's entirely up to you. But I wouldn't broadcast it on the radio anyway.
Hey.
One of the earliest reports was way back in 1606. And that was in about the city of London and the shires adjoining. Also, shall I do it in a piratey?
Can't do it in a Cockney way because being London and the shires.
Cool, blimey, governor. All right. The earliest known documented death year or outbreak of unexplained livestock deaths year occurred in 1606 about the city of London and London and some of the shires adjoining. I can't do that. No. That's just annoying.
But this one, that didn't sound like it was from London. That sounded like you were a madman.
A what?
A madman.
Well, yeah, you'd be right, technically. Slaughters of sheep have been made. In some places, up to 100. In others, less. Nothing's taken from the sheep, but the tallow the tallow's a fat, isn't it? And some inward parts. The whole carcass and fleece remaining still behind. And this is back when James I was ruling in England, and the outbreak was noted in the official records of the court of James I of England. And Charles Fort collected many accounts of cattle mutilations that occurred in England in the late 19th and early 20th century. So this has been going on for 400 or 500 years now.
Well, yeah, particularly in the UK.
But back in those days, were there sightings of unexplained lights?
Well, the thing is, there's if you look back at the records of it, there has been cases during that period of time where I think there's a report of lights being seen over London, particularly when it was the Great Fire of London, and all these sort of things. So great, amazing moments in history, and there is sporadic reports of strange things in the sky, etc., etc. So
you've just hit the nail on the head with another theory.
Yeah.
The Great Fire of London, bits of cattle going missing. It wasn't a Great Fire of London. It was a massive, dirty, great big barbecue.
Exactly.
And that's how the first McDonald's started. Yay!
Yeah, maybe the people out there that are floating around in their little spacecrafts are just really into barbecue.
As long as it's not humans.
Well, it doesn't seem to be that. That's the thing. It just seems to be animals, which is the strange thing about it. Obviously, there has been cases about human beings kidnapped and reappearing and abduction and probing and stuff like that. But we're not going to be discussing that.
We all like a good probe.
We all love a good probe. Get those, yeah. But
the thing that got me was, when it says cattle mutilations, I didn't know that dogs and cats and rabbits were being done as well. I mean, there's all of the animals. I mean, I love animals, so I feel sorry for them. But it's the fact that there's another thing is when you look into the case history of a lot of them, no dirt has been kicked up. There's been no signs of a struggle. There's no blood.
No blood, which is the key thing about it is there's not been any blood.
So is it, has the body been actually dumped there? Did it happen somewhere else? And then was it taken there and dumped there? Or was it taken up into a big ship in the sky? And there they went, yes, we're going to have another cow's bumhole tonight. So brace yourself, love. And that's it.
Exactly. But the other thing about it was the preciseness of the cuts. They like you said earlier about being cauterized. So there was heat done to the cuts.
So it's done with a lightsaber.
And obviously back in those days, back in the day, you wouldn't have had lasers or things like that. You would just had the most basic of tools like the knives and stuff like that. So they wouldn't have had this. But there's been reports of clean cuts. The intestines being spread out in a particular manner, and certain items of inside the animal would have been missing.
What, like its watch and things like that?
Yeah, obviously cows wearing watches, and dogs.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking
about the bullets.
I'm talking about certain organs missing. And I'm sorry, but my thinking is if it's an animal attack, there's going to be blood. It's not going to be precise. There's going to be bite marks. There's going to be tears. There's going to be this. Or if it's a human doing this, there's going to be gouge marks. There's going to be this, that, and the other. But the reports, you look at the reports going back to those days, it was very, very clinical.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Jack the Ripper of the animal world. But
that's exactly
one thing I did do. Yeah, exactly. And one thing my mind's just gone into overdrive. Jack the Ripper murdered prostitutes. So does that mean that the cows were standing there in basques and frilly knickers going moo, and twiddling their others?
Or have you just opened another hole in the rabbit hole where Jack the Ripper was an alien?
This could go on and on and on.
Exactly.
Yes. When I was looking at other cases of not just cattle mutilations, I was looking at animal attacks in general and this, that, and the other. The only other attack that's happened, or not attack, but the only other cause of death that's ever happened when there was no disturbance of the ground left was a lightning strike. Every other attack, there's been the ground kicked up, hoofs have been damaged and everything. But it's just lightning strikes and this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's. I think it's the way the because if it was just like a brutal scene, like something out of a slasher movie, I would less to believe that there was more to it. But you know me, I like a good conspiracy theory. It's just the way these animals and the way they were attacked, the way they were butchered was quite clinical.
And it also gets me that lots of these cases is a bit like Project Blue Book. Oh, well, disinformation, we will say it's this and we will say it's that and the other. Like the case of the lady, Snippy mutilation. Just to warn you guys out there who are listening to us, it might be a bit graphic, some of this. So if you are a bit of a sensitive nature, then first of all, what are you doing listening to our show? And secondly, turn the volume down. So this happened in 1967 on September the 9th. Agnes King and her son Harry found the dead body of their 3-year-old horse, Lady. And Lady's head and neck had been skinned and defleshed. And the body displayed cuts that, according to King, looked very, very precise. And again, there was no blood at the scene. And according to Harry, there was a strong medical odour that was in the air. And that's another thing that's been reported with a fair few of them. Not the mass ones, but when it's been like 1, 2 or 3, there's been a strong medical ozone-y smell in the air, which, again, I find a bit bizarre. And a subsequent investigation concluded that there were no unearthly causes of the death. And then Lewis called... I can't even say that, Alamosa County Sheriff Ben Phillips. He told them that the death was probably due to a lightning strike. And yeah, we said about the lightning strike, but the fact that there was no blood, there's been cuts, and this poor old horse has been defleshed on its head and neck. So if it was a lightning strike, why isn't there any blood?
But one of the biggest key things about this particular case is the sheriff also told them told the people what to do. Never bother to visit the site again. Yeah,
I was going to get to that, but I'll let you talk about that now.
No. You go for it.
Yeah, I was literally just getting there. No unearthly causes of the death. And when they called the sheriff and he said it was probably due to a lightning strike, the sheriff, as you quite rightly said, he said never bothered to visit the site. He didn't bother to visit the site. And then he told them, don't bother. Don't talk about it. Don't mention it ever again. And the early press coverage of the case misnamed Lady as Snippy. How they got that name, they're so wrong, I have no idea. And later press coverage mentioned that the horse had been shot in the behind. See, now this wasn't in the original case.
Nope.
This was all dragged up, and it was all based on hearsay and conjecture from the so-called sheriff's department who had investigated it. And although the fact that the man never even went there tells you something, doesn't it?
Absolutely comes into what we're going to be discussing in a second.
It's I just find it all very distasteful. I mean, I can see the thing about people saying, aliens are looking into how to control us and how to control like the animals and this, that, and the other. That's why they do the abductions. That's why they do these bizarre mutilations, because they need to check our reproductive function and this, that, and the other, and the cattle, animals' reproductive functions. Quite frankly, have they never heard of Pornhub? Be a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure they'd learn a few tips and tricks to. But no, I don't think there's much. Well, there might be. I don't think there's much fantasy out there for people that are into cow mutilation.
What's the name of those people that like dressing up as animals?
Cosplay.
No, not cosplay. I did cosplay with the kids. Fluffies. No, whatever they're called.
Oh, the ones that dress up as cats.
Yeah.
I don't know. Weirdos.
They dress up fluffy animals. Did you say they're weirdos?
I possibly could have said that. But,
well, I will have my suit back from you then, young man, if in that case.
Well, that's not because you never called me Fluffy.
Oh, sorry, darling. Anyway. I'll let you talk about the Democratic senator and what we were just leading up to there.
Yeah, basically, just 2 seconds. So there was later developments in this case of this horse, and it suddenly appeared that there was a Democratic senator, Floyd K. Haskell, who contacted the FBI asking for help in 1975 due to public concern regarding the case of this, what would happen. Yeah. He claimed there had been 130 mutilations alone in the state of in Colorado alone, and further reports across 9 states in America.
And none of this was mentioned when they brought this up. The sheriff didn't mention any of this. Nobody.
No. So he concentrated on this particular case of Lady or Snippy or whatever it was portrayed, and then he basically developed it and said there was obviously concern in there. And obviously they mentioned about these 130 mutilation cases in Colorado alone, and also across 9 other states in the US. And in 1979, an FBI report indicated that according to investigations by the New Mexico State Police, there had been an estimated 8,000,
Good God.
that number, 8,000 mutilation cases alone in Colorado, causing approximately $1 million in damages.
See, that's the thing that gets me. There's all this damage. I mean, it's obviously, because the animals have died and it's put the farmers back and they've got to pay for it and this and the other. If it was the government, surely the government wouldn't make that mess, and all this blaming it on aliens and this, that, and the other. I just find it silly. I mean, I as full well, I'm the aliens guy, and when we've sat down and had a chat, we both think the same thing. But these cattle mutilations, I really have no idea where I stand with that, because it just doesn't make any sense. Apart from,
I completely agree with you. I think you look at the history of it. Yes, there's history of this happening back in time, but it all seems to have got very prominent, particularly in the US, from the 60s onwards.
It's the hippies. Blame the hippies.
But funny enough, it was probably at the same sort of time that people were concerned of the Cold War, lights in the sky, all this sort of stuff. And there was more news on there and everything like this. And then all of a sudden, these cases started being blown out of all proportion. But yeah, 8,000 mutilations of animals alone in Colorado.
And that's farming country anyway, isn't it? But,
farming country, but that's a lot of animals.
It is, and the thing is, no one's heard it, no one's seen it. Nobody's seen the actual deed done. Nobody's heard the deed done. It's just like, I saw a real bright light in the sky,
Yeah, exactly. I think these things have happened, and all of a sudden you coming into the 60s and early 70s, you start seeing the links being more profound on the reports of, I saw lights in the sky, and then next day all my cattle had their intestines sprayed over a field, but there was no blood, and et cetera, et cetera. So they started linking in lights in the sky in the reports in a more profound way, trying to link it through to lights in the sky, your cows are going to have their intestines sprayed.
Well, also,
cows got attacked, and then all of a sudden there's lights in the sky. They're saying there was lights in the sky first, then there was the cow mutilation. So we're going to come on to it, but we're going to probably discuss it a little bit more. But I'm thinking it's more smoke and mirrors by misinformation.
Yeah. It does sound very, very much like that. I mean, it doesn't, as I said before, it just doesn't make sense to me.
No.
If you really want stuff like that and you want to do testing on it, because we've got the Men in Black that we were talking about the other week that Kerry's still hiding from. Why don't they just send one of those guys down there to the butchers? Excuse me, mate, have you got a bull's todger? Yeah, and a bull's knackers? You got some prairie oysters there? Thank you very much. Are they fresh? They are? Right. Why don't they just do that?
You joke about that, but there is cases of lights in the sky, cow mutilations, and all of a sudden there's people knocking on your door saying you saw nothing. Blokes in black suits. Exactly.
And it was also when Project Blue Book had started as well, because that's 50s and 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the going on from that, the alien link to all this started really becoming profound in the early 60s. But there was a famous period of time in 1974, a few months after the first spate of proper allegations of mutilation in the USA, that multiple farmers in Nebraska, another state in the States, claimed to witness a UFO on one night, and then all their cows were harmed. One claimed to see an object which looked as if it was a light blush green light on each side with a glowing surround. The sightings were hailed by UFO researchers as the first physical evidence of extraterrestrials. And then the next day, all their cows were. Which was the first big case. It obviously been happening before, but this was the first big reported case of multiple sightings and multiple claims of cow mutilation.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what we were talking about earlier. People are seeing the lights in the sky, but that's what gets me is nobody is seeing or hearing the actual deed that's done. So where the flipping heck is it being done? Is it being done there? Is it being done somewhere else? What?
Are they being transported away from where they were and then put back on the land? That's why there's no blood evidence. Or are they being done where they stood and they're using techniques or equipment that doesn't produce any blood spatters because it causes eyes? It's like hot cutting and information like that. But they report these lights in the sky, but nobody actually has reported or actually put any evidence down to actually witness the mutilations happening. It was always after the fact now. So lights in the sky, after the fact, your cows are dead.
Yeah, and it's. I still don't understand why nobody's heard it, nobody's seen it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Especially the numbers of animals that it's happening to.
Well, yeah, and also, you know yourself, cows are not exactly quiet creatures.
No. Even bisons and some of the other creatures some of the other animals they're talking about, they're not particularly quiet things. I've been out, I've wandered around the countryside. I live in Kent, Garden of England. You like in the summer, you walk around, you walk to your local pub, you walk past the field. These cows are making a hell of a lot of noise. I'm sure they make a hell of a lot more noise if somebody's trying to rip out their insides.
Well, yeah, exactly. But there's also one other thing that I would like to just stick in there. In a lot of the cases when they've done the testing and stuff, atropine has been found to be in the animals. Now, if there's atropine in the animals, that's not aliens. Aliens.
No, but that then brings us on to something else. Because atropine is obviously a sedative. It's a man-made sedative.
Yes.
And
well, it wouldn't be marijuana, would it? Can you imagine seeing the cows sitting there getting transcendental on a doobie?
I would actually watch that.
I would. I'd pay to see that as well.
I've watched the 70s film of Cheech and Chong.
I love Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, great fun. An amazing film. Love it a bit. But I think I would watch there, sitting there when you've got a couple of cows sitting around there, passing a doobie round, getting baked, and you're like, yeah, I've just seen lights in the sky. And next thing, their guts are all over the field.
Oh, God. Can you imagine that? Hey, man, look at your stomach.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear. But, yeah, there's been atropine in there, and there's another thing to think about. Nick Pope was talking about it a while back, and he said that with atropine and this, that, and the other, and the fact it's always the head, you've got either the genitals, reproductive organs, bummer, or you've got spinal column, brain, this, that, and the other. Are they doing tests on Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease or mad cow disease?
Well, this is the thing about government conspiracy, government cover-up, smoke and mirrors. Are they basically putting out this government, or a government, or any government, or whatever government are saying? They're saying, I tell you what, it's not us just using these animals as test subjects, because they know if it came out that there'd be uproar and you'd have people handcuffing themselves to fences and all this sort of stuff. But is it down to them just putting smoke and mirrors and saying, well, it's aliens?
Well, there's also another thing that happened in one of the cases, happened to a farmer Burgess, but 3 of the 4-year-old cows that were mutilated and 2 young heifers had bright fluorescent splashes on their backs or top sides. See, there's other jokes coming in there, and I'm not going to do them. The thing is that these fluorescent splashes fitted the pattern of animal types being mutilated in the area of that period. So no markings were found on the sides, underneath, or lower parts. and they weren't able to find any liquid or solid in the corral or pasture that glowed with the same colour or brilliance as the marks on the animals. And the fluorescent marking was not from any material picked up locally. So what is it? Where has it come from? Or was it down to just aliens? I don't know. I don't know if they do that with cows.
I don't know, but is it just like we said? Is it just like the government have got things going on that they're trying to hide? Whether it's testing for what you mentioned, Nick, or whether it's for other purposes, like chemical warfare, chemical drugs and warfare, and stuff like that. Like the big thing that's happened in recent time about chemical warfare and the chemical weapons and stuff like that, because there has been reports and documentation and people researching this that basically think that it's a government interference where you have large numbers of people reporting these cases. Ranchers who claim to have seen black helicopters around their fields, which then coincided with cow mutilation. And then, particularly in one case in Kansas, the reporter then had a theory that the government was basically testing cattle parts, so basically the innards, like the heart, etc., to see how it would react to biological weapons, which could have been used in Vietnam, because we're going back to that sort of time. So is it that? So is it the government is saying, well, we're not going to do this, that, and the other. We're going to basically make out it's these little green men in the sky, when we're actually doing it, testing it for biological weapons or testing it for vaccines or this, that, and the other.
Well, the thing is, the government's very good at doing smoke and mirrors and doing cover-ups. Not just the American government, but all governments, because our government's just as sly. But I don't see why, if you're going to be doing testing for things like that, why don't they just why go about it this way? Because surely if they just got some cows and did it on the quiet, nobody would know.
Exactly. I'm sure the government, being the sort of government that they are, could have bought a few hundred cows and on the quiet and ship them off to one of their underground or their mountain forts, etc.
Well, when they can get them away from the fire and
get them away from the fire and eyes, and done all sorts of things. But
it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't make any sense, and it is a very distasteful thing to do anyway. But it's like I like with the tongue. I don't get why some of them are found with like the knackers missing and the tongue's missing. Is it taste buds, and is it the fact that there's a lot of jokes in there that I'm not going to do?
I can understand what you're saying about the tongue, but I'm pretty sure the genitals don't have taste buds.
Do explain some more about that, Carl.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that cows' genitals don't have taste buds. The genitals can taste things.
How would you
I would say the tongue can taste, but I don't think the genitals could go, I know what that is.
Tarama salata.
Exactly. Tea bag or whatever. Nice cup of...
Oh, you have to go there. Tea bag.
But yeah, no. But it's a subject like we've been saying. I can't get my head around how there's because at the end of the day, aliens are supposed to be intelligent and they're watching us and all this sort of stuff. Why you would then say to them, you've got aliens up there, they're intelligent, they've got craft that can travel light speed, so they're not dim-witted people.
No, exactly.
But then they come to this planet and see the humans and see this, that, and the other, and see us interacting, watching our TV. And the first thing they go, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to kidnap some cows. We're going to cut off their knackers. We're going to cut out their tongue. We're going to cut out their rectum. And we're going to lay them out on the ground and we're going to leave them.
See, when you say it just doesn't make sense.
Practical joke.
Yeah, it just... Well, aliens are there going...
It's a bit like, when you were young, you when you're on spring break or something like that, and you go cow tipping where you push a cow over. Maybe it's just a practical joke. Maybe the aliens have a sense of humour, thinking this'll really mess with their noggins. Those little people down here with no brain capacity. Let's go and rip a few cows up and spray them around fields. That'll really mess their minds up.
Well, I know it messed up a lot of farmers. I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, coming. Can you imagine that, going to the field or into the pasture and finding your cow there with a dirty, great big gaper where its bottom used to be? I mean, I'm looking at some of the pictures now, and it's not pleasant, and it doesn't make for good viewing. No. But if they're taking the actual sphincter out, if you've seen some of these pictures, why the hell are they leaving such a sodding great big hole? I mean, we're talking dinner plate size.
Maybe that's where they just had loads of pens that they needed places to put them.
Oh my God! So you have just sold all the cattle mutilations. It's basically for the executives to have pen holders.
Yeah, for all those aliens flying around in their spacecrafts.
Well, that's it then. We might as well just wrap up the show now. We're done.
The show,
just solved it.
You won't hear me on the radio anymore.
Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. We're out of here.
But no, I completely agree with you. It's just like...
It's overkill.
The way they've done it, it's overkill. But also, when you look at some of these pictures, yes, they are horrific pictures to look on the internet. But like I say, there's no blood loss.
Yeah, and also
very clinical. They're all precise. They look like they say. A lot of the photos I've seen is they all look very much sterilised. So it was like something hot cauterizing as they cut.
Well, exactly. And there was some cases that happened in Argentina, and they actually got into their local newspaper, the Clarin, and they said, and the rancher himself said that. The way that it was done, it was so precise and this, that, and the other. You could see the edges were burnt. You could see it being cauterized. And there was no blood loss. So it was done by a very hot instrument. But also on some of the cases, there was broken bones and damage to the cows as if they'd been dropped from a great height.
So, some of the people will probably listen to this, or any theorists out there were probably thinking everything was done up in the spacecraft, and then we're basically just the carcass was just dumped out the back of the spacecraft to land where they were.
I was actually thinking that if it's the government doing it for some bizarre reason, if they were doing it somewhere else, and then they were just flying along and then dropping the carcass off.
Yeah, but the thing was, it was also in the carcasses were also found in the same field that they were.
I just don't get it. You know, if you're going to do that, where's the blood?
Exactly.
And what the heck are they doing with these parts?
Well, chicken nuggets are very popular.
Oh my God! I mean, are they making a Game of Thrones throne out of cows' todgers, out of bulls' willies?
So instead of the Iron Throne, you're talking about the cow's anus throne.
Or the cow's willies throne.
Yeah, no, we said willies, we just said genitals. That's you.
A genital throne.
Yeah, there's possibilities and all these sorts of... But this is the thing that...
I wouldn't want to sit on it.
I wouldn't want to sit on it. I wouldn't want to sit on anything that's basically come out of a cow's anus or a cow's genitals or innards or anything like that. It'd be quite
Mongo straight, you know.
Exactly, I've got good genes. I don't want to get genes.
Yeah, you'd ruin them. I mean, it'd be slick,
ruin
the
little things. But the more we talk about it, the more, yes, we joke about it, but it is a Dark Mirror show and we have that way of looking at things, and we do go on different tangents. But I think both myself and you, Mark, both thinking the same thing: is aliens, cow mutilation, lights in the sky.
It's a bit too obvious, isn't it?
It's a bit too obvious, and it's a bit of a long stretch. And to be truthfully honest, if tomorrow there's news reports of first alien contact and they all come out of their little spacecraft riding...
Holding cows' willies around.
or clones of cows from cows' rectums and genitals and riding up and seeing the president and the prime minister.
Oh my God! Can you imagine that if they made their own little army out of cows' genitals and cows' bumholes? It would sound like an army of vaginas marching in mud. It really would.
Yeah, and they'd be clapping to their own beat.
They would.
But yeah, until that happens, I can't honestly. I think I got some weird, strange beliefs and way to put things together, but not even me personally can try and link. I just don't see
It's
why.
too convenient.
I think it's too convenient for a start, and I can't see why a race would do that when you've got the intelligent. Okay, I'm going to say something probably a bit controversial, but it is a Dark Mirror show. If you are looking down at this planet and you see the different types of species and race, people would say the more dominant race would be the humans.
Well, they wouldn't start with Birmingham, would they?
They wouldn't go, hang on, those big things that are white and black that produce milk, that get milked every day, they're what we're going to concentrate on. They'd want to be kidnapping and mutilating and seeing how the humans.
Well, they get that vastly wrong because that's New York police cars.
Exactly. Exactly. But you don't hear any of those being kidnapped, do you?
Well, you don't, and you don't hear about them having their bottoms cut out.
No.
Right.
No. But I just don't see how alien races and things like that think it would be. I tell you what, forget the humans, the ones that talk, the ones that produce things, the ones that have some sort of intelligence. And I put that loosely as a human race because we are intelligent. I think we can be quite narrow-minded. But we'll forget them. We'll go and kidnap a few cows that are eating grass and shit on their feet.
Oh, they're smoking grass.
Exactly. Exactly. But I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
I mean, I can see how when various alien races come to Earth, if they want to check out reproductive organs, because let's face it, it's pretty much the same, no matter what the species. Fallopian tubes, wombs, and this, that, and the other. So I can understand them doing that for when they first came here, but from the 16th century onwards, still to this day.
This is why I think it's probably more linked to. I think.
Well, they're trying to blame Chupacabra. They were
exactly.
Parts of
I would think mythological creatures or creatures that we don't know an awful lot about and things like that. I think it's probably laid down more on their doorstep that potentially is more realistic to think it is them, like the Chupacabra or whatever, the Yeti or whatever, the creatures that are doing this, which at the end of the day, in the animal kingdom, you have this happening all the time. You have creatures attacking other creatures and this, that, and the other. They eat them for food, etc., etc. So if there is these creatures wandering around, like they say, the Chupacabra or the Yeti or...
the what?
I have no idea what I just said, but it is Friday night and I have had a little bit of a drink.
Have you?
But yeah, is it something now? Are we saying, forget the alien thing? That's rubbish, because most people in their right mind won't believe aliens are doing that. Or is it a natural phenomena, being a creature that we don't know anything about, because the planet is a big place. There's certain areas of this planet that has never been investigated. There's potential of these creatures existing.
Well, look at the Mariana Trench.
Exactly. Are we talking there is some sort of creature that can do this sort of thing? Because there's a snake that when it bites you, its fangs cauterizes the bite.
That's right, but it's not heat. It's a type of acid, isn't it?
It's a type of acid.
Yeah.
So you don't get any blood.
I could see that, but looking at some of the...
Potentially there'd be a creature out there that has the same sort of reaction that basically can attack, and it cauterizes because of this type of acid and all this sort of stuff. I believe that's probably.
Why would it attack
realistic.
the bum hole?
Well, it doesn't matter. They might like it, not good fleshy,
Yeah, I tell you what, we are almost at the end of the show. We've got 5 minutes left.
Got another 15 minutes, mate.
3 minutes. Oh.
We've got about another 15 minutes, mate.
Have you not only...
Yeah. But, yeah, I just think...
All right, well, anyway, I'm going to... I think I've solved it.
Have you? What you got? What you come up with, Mark?
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs?
Bumholes, lips, and willies.
So you're thinking all these cow mutilations going back to the 1600s is to make sure that the world never runs out of hot dogs?
Yeah.
I can believe that because the amount of hot dogs that get sold in those tins that basically never have an expiration date on them, that last forever, you might have cracked it there, Mark.
I reckon, by the way, that's a point I meant to have a word with you for last time we met up. I think you need to sort out your porn addiction because I noticed that when you were making a hot dog the other day, you spat in your hand first before you handled the sausage. And I'm just saying, just putting it out there.
But that's because you said you needed something soft to put your hot dog in to.
Well, you did say you had nice buns.
Exactly, but that's slightly different. So don't try and come back at me, mate, because I'll always have a
I'm just not sure. I really don't think it's aliens. I don't think it's aliens because, as we said, if it was aliens coming down and they want to check out the reproductive organs in mammals, I could understand them doing it for a little bit, and then they got. I mean, let's face it, you can only get so much information out of it. You can't get 400 or 500 years worth of information out of it.
Yeah, but the thing also you've got is these cases of cow mutilations happen in continents or areas that have a high producing of cattle. So you've got the Midwest, like we just said, in America, Argentina, good beef production people.
And they've noticed it's Wales with the sheep.
Wales with the sheep.
Mm.
But we're not. Yeah. We'll get taken off air if we go to Wales mutilation. We will get taken off air. So we're not going to cover the Wales aspect. Obviously, we've got England with cows as well. And this comes back to the whole thing about, are they basically been testing over the years whether the meat is good?
I would have thought bumholes would be a bit chewy, personally.
They probably discard those. But if you look at like a cow, and you look at where the decent meat is, most of the high quality,
they're leaving
leanest and basically best meat is going towards the rump area and the cow's arse area. Yeah,
but they're taking neck and face muscle as well.
I've never tried neck and face muscle. I must admit, I've had sheep's cheek.
Sheep's cheek?
Goat's cheek. Sorry, goat's cheek.
Which cheek?
I don't know. It was goat's cheek. The muscle between the eye and the mouth. I was in.
The face cheek.
Yeah, face cheek. Yeah, goat's cheek. Not his arse cheeks. His face cheek. No, I went. Where was I? I think I was away, and it was no. Where was I? No, I tell you what, I was at a friend's birthday party in Covent Garden at a Moroccan restaurant. And
right, yeah.
Was goat's face cheek.
Yeah, it's African, isn't it? And they it's one of their specialties over there.
But you don't hear of cow mutilation, goat mutilation, or any animal mutilation in Africa. I've looked through the evidence. I've looked through the reports. You don't see any of that. It's always
Australia.
That's not Africa.
No, I know that, you dingbat. It's as far away as Australia and as close as Wales. But yeah, you're right. Africa doesn't get it.
No, there's not many reports. Maybe Africa is the hub of the aliens. Maybe that's where they live.
Oh dear God! And they are the kings of the hot dog world.
Yeah. And I know quite a few South Africans.
Would you? Funnily enough, so do I. My daughter's other half is South African. I think I'm going to have to frisk him next time. Say, "Oh, have you got a packet of cow's bumholes in your bag, there, mate?"
Exactly. It's a bit like beef jerky, but
see, we're not going to go there. We're really not going to do that.
No.
But one thing I have noticed though is that the latest stuff or the latest sightings this year, last year, basically the noughties, is South America and the ranch belt in North America. Yeah. They seem to have gone away from the rest of the world, but I cannot see an alien coming down using a beam of light. What do you call it? Those rays that take things away or push them away, whatever. Tractor beam. I can't see them coming down doing a tractor. Oh, tractor! A tractor beam. That's what it is. I can't see them doing that. Zapping a cow, taking it off somewhere, doing unmentionable things to it, and then putting it back. It makes no sense. It's silly, and I think it's false flags.
And okay, I'll put this out there to people that are listening live tonight, Friday night. What are your views? Do you think it's aliens? Do you think it's? We'll put a poll in the chat room just to end the show. Here we go. What I want to hear, and we'll discuss it on future shows.
Yeah, we'll discuss it.
Go through the results. Yeah. Do you think that Cattle Mutilations is aliens, government conspiracy,
a bull dressed up as Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, or alien like that, or we're talking about something that is just animal attack of some sort of creature that we don't know anything about.
That's a hazard
or even just one thing, which I'm going to throw out there thing, a complete hoax that it doesn't actually happen.
Personally, myself, I reckon it's testing.
I believe I would agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's testing, and I reckon it's all false flags. Why the hell they just didn't take some cows and do their own thing, where they could breed from them and then study them themselves? I don't know. Why do the whole alien nonsense?
But the thing is, it's like I said to you earlier. Why, if these aliens that are flying around in spacecrafts that have abilities to be unseen, and this, that, and the other, to travel light speed, they're not going to be the dimwits that you see on The Simpsons that, will get fooled by watching
Kang and Nang.
Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. These are intelligent people. They're built spacecrafts. They can travel light speed. They can drive between things. They're not going to come to a planet where they'll look down and they'll see this human race that drives cars, flies planes, talks, reproduction, all that sort of stuff, and go, I tell you what, forget them people. They look boring. Let's go and rape and pillage cows, dogs, goats, and things like that. They're not going to do that. They're intelligent beings. They're not going to do that. I'm sorry. This is the first time ever on the Dark Mirror Show I'm going to say I don't believe that aliens would do that.
I certainly don't think that aliens are coming down and going, you see that cow over there? Yeah, I'm going to have her.
I mean, unless they are horny little cow lovers.
Oh, dear. You had to, didn't you?
Yes, it wouldn't be the Dark Mirror Show if I didn't go down that next.
This is very, very true.
This is very, very true. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the show. I'm going to wrap it up, Mark. What's your last thoughts before I wrap it up?
I'm a firm believer, as you know, in aliens and visitors from other planets, but I think that this time they're getting blamed for things they haven't done. I don't think it's aliens.
Okay.
I think it's the government doing
Just
something.
bear that in mind shortly after I tell you another thing coming up. But yes, on my personal views, I don't believe aliens. I believe there's something else. But I personally believe if I'm being completely serious now, I believe it's smoke and mirrors. I think it's putting out something like they've done in the past, like look at this hand while the other hand's doing something else. And that's
doing something to a cow's willy. We know
exactly, or bum holes or whatever their fantasy is. So I don't believe in that. So that's the Dark Mirror show for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it on this Friday night. We will be back next Friday. I'll tell you what we'll be discussing in a second.
You tell us what.
Oh God, there's Kerry.
We will be doing alien abductions next Friday.
Yes, we will.
Okay, could you just say so? Did you say alien abduction because you were live on air, or was that in my ear?
It was in your ear, and then you went, "Oh, there's Kerry." So I thought I'd stick my nostrils in.
But I've got a schedule in front of me, so I knew what we were going to talk about.
I wasn't sure if you had it in front of you or not.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to say, the funniest thing about tonight's show was when you turned around and went, "Horny little cow lovers." And I have to say, I've got them to admit, they don't think it's aliens on this one.
No, I really, really don't.
Probably one of the only shows of these rabbit holes that we will be venturing into. We won't be just falling in. We'll be potholing, sliding down on our backsides down these holes.
And this is Kerry's hole.
Yeah, this was Kerry's idea.
I do like to give them topics to get their teeth into.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
This Friday night,
Get your teeth into a bumhole, yeah.
Yeah, this Friday night now, been a weird one. But I think we've both come to a common ground, which does surprise us for a Dark Mirror show on a Friday night, that we've actually agreed.
Well, I don't know, because you and I we're pretty much on the same wavelength anyway.
We believe in certain things, but we don't often believe in the same coming togethers, so to speak.
Well, I don't want to know about the people with the cows coming together. Ugh.
We said horny little cow lovers. But no, it's been a great show. We are back next week, so we're going from cow mutilation. We're going to talk about the human alien abduction. So we're going down the kind of the same rabbit hole, but we're talking humans.
We are. We have previously covered this in a past show, but we had so much stuff left over that it's worth looking into again.
And Kerry, which Kerry's dulcet voice, which we've missed, and it's good to have appearing briefly on tonight's show.
Oh, it does me wonders. It does. Hearing that voice come on, it just does me wonders.
Puts pick in my pipe, or whatever they call it.
Oh, puts lead in your pencil.
That's different. That's different. But anyway.
God, wrap it up, guys. Wrap it up before you get yourselves in trouble.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us. Mark, I'm going to let you finish the show.
Yes. Thank you very much for once again making it a very entertaining show there, young man. And ladies and gentlemen, remember to like, click, share, and subscribe. I remembered it! And remember to tune in next week for more on the Dark Mirror Show on our alien legacy. So, my name is Mark Manley, and I'm out of here. Good night, Carl.
And I'm Carl Hutchinson, and I'm going to go up to the mothership.
Another cow's bumhole.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.